We have a special guest today, Doug Schukar from USA Mortgage. Doug, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me, Damian.
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. We have kind of crossed paths a number of times over the years, but we haven't actually met, I think, until today, at least in the latest iteration of the Girard Realty Show. But I do appreciate you coming in today, and I want to just I think it's really cool the story of USA Mortgage. I mean, you have been in the mortgage business for what, 20?
This will be 26th year. 26th year.
And you started USA Mortgage in 2001, is that right?
April 13th, 2001.
You remember the date,
I
2
do.
days before tax day. That's why you
just had a birthday.
So I just want to kind of let our people know more. We talk about USA Mortgage a lot. Mike Mudry is, in my opinion, the best loan officer in St. Louis, and I say that knowing a lot of loan officers in St. Louis from all sorts of different mortgage companies and banks and whatnot. But I think USA Mortgage has a great story, and I think it's kind of a local story that really resonates with people who are entrepreneurial and people who appreciate what St. Louis has to offer. And we do a St. Louis booster segment once in a while where we just bring on special guests that have a St. Louis bent to what they do. And so let me just start off by just having you tell us, why or how you started. I mean, how'd you get the notion to get your own mortgage business going back in 2001?
Would you believe it if I told you I backed into it? And
Of
so
course.
by that, I mean, I actually went to work with the firm that owned the USA Mortgage name prior to me taking it over. I actually acquired the name back in '01. And the company that owned it, you have to take your clocks back to the year 2000 and 1999 when the whole .com craze was kind of getting started.
I remember those days. I was in the technology business in those days.
So then you will get it. So the original owners thought they could go from the Atlantic to the Pacific overnight with a different name and kind of capitalized on the USA Mortgage logo a little bit. But when the .com bubble burst in August of 2000, probably some dreams did with it as well. But it afforded me the opportunity to buy some assets. So when a door closes, a window opens.
So you were working for this group.
I was running the St. Louis marketplace for this group on a company that was trying to go coast to coast with mortgages based on internet applications.
Okay. And at that time, what was the organization like? I mean, was it a big operation here in St. Louis, or was it just you and a couple of guys? Or
no, it was getting to be relatively large here locally. They were attempting to try to do a public offering, try to go public as an organization, but there was just nothing sexy about a mortgage company going public back after the NASDAQ bubble burst in late third quarter. If
they had done it a couple years earlier, it was usamortgage.com, they would have done an IPO and had like $100 bazillion flowing in just on a promise. And
you wouldn't be talking to me right now.
Yeah, that was a crazy time. So their operation obviously just wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to be a national rollout. You're in St. Louis. There's a growing group of people, I guess, in your organization, and you said, hey, I'm just going to buy this market, basically, because you saw a future in the independent mortgage banker in the St. Louis area. Is that right?
Correct. So I was born and raised in St. Louis. It's the only area that I know. Once that company started to have its issues, it afforded me that opportunity to buy that USA Mortgage name. Right. So it was a name that was well known. Right. Not as well known perhaps as it is today, but it had a good reputation at the time. They had a handful of great people here in the local market. It afforded me the opportunity to cherry pick what I thought were the best people. Right. So my belief has always been that whatever your business is, he or she that surrounds themselves with the best minds, M-I-N-D-S, the best minds, wins.
Well, and that's exactly the way we conduct ourselves at Girard Realty Group. We have no intention or goal of being the biggest. We just want to be the best. We want to be the most useful realtors to our clients. And it's kind of the same type of idea that you're talking about.
It is, but it's interesting the result, though. So it is, in that our tagline is a better way to buy a home. We believe we do it better than anybody else. We created the company as a true mortgage bank as opposed to a retail bank or a mortgage broker, which are the three types of lenders that are out there today.
So USA Mortgage is a mortgage banker.
We are.
And can you explain in 1 minute why that matters?
1 minute.
Because we're going to run out of
fast.
time. And I know it's hard because but it's an important distinction.
It is the most important distinction. So it's what I call the sweet spot in the middle. It really deals with control. So a mortgage broker will not typically underwrite or say this loan makes sense or doesn't make sense. They don't have that ability to.
So they're really, when I said earlier that loan officers are salespeople, mortgage brokers really are strictly salespeople. They're selling other people's money.
Yes, but they're really, I like to use the term dot connectors. So they're connecting dots between an end-line lender, of which they usually have 2 or 3 in their stable. They would like you to believe they have hundreds of them, but there's usually 2 or 3 strong relationships with the consumer, right? But they have no control for that end-line institution that's going to be maintaining the payments and collecting and providing the servicing for that particular loan. A mortgage bank, on the other hand, will which is us, will fund the loan in its own name, will underwrite on our own behalf, will actually have the documents drawn in our name and provided at the closing table. The difference is one word: control.
Right.
And in this industry, and really any industry, he or she who maintains that control from beginning to end in their business, in their industry, also probably wins.
Well, and I'll tell you from our side of the real estate transaction, right, from the realtor side, and Mike, you can back me up on this. And, you talk about control, Doug, but it is uber important because the control over the transaction is really, I think, what separates you guys. We talk with a lot of people, and a lot of people come to us with a preconceived notion that big matters, which is true, but when you're so big that you're a national bank, for instance, the borrower is probably going to talk to 5, 10, 20, 2,000 people, I'm exaggerating, but they're never going to end the transaction with the same person they started. And when they talk about or think about control, it's so you guys control your side of things. You're not controlling them, but you're controlling the process so that they know that they're going to deal with the same person, Mike Mudry in our case, and you guys are going to make sure that you come to closing with the dollars, with the check in hand, or that it's already wired. And that's why the control matters to the user, to the borrower, because it gets them where they need to be at the end of the line.
Well stated. And all of our control is maintained at the corner of Olive and 270, which makes our life a lot easier. So we have about a half a dozen offices scattered throughout the metropolitan area to make it easier for your listener to go and apply and meet with somebody face-to-face if they desire, or go online. They certainly can do that. And the website is the classic USA-mortgage.com. You can apply online.
And if they put my name in there, it'll come up as me, Mike Mudry at USA-mortgage.com.
But USA-mortgage, not a underscore.
No, it's a dash.
But a USA-mortgage.com.
Correct. But here's the funniest part is that the retail bank could maintain control. But the problem with the retail bank is everything going right, they end up picking up maybe $2,000, $3,000, which is the value of the mortgage. Everything going wrong, they got a $200,000 or a $300,000 loan on their books, which is not really what they want. So the mortgage loan is so specialized.
Right.
It's not a car loan. It's not a student loan. It's not a savings account that they really shy away from them as much as they can.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And if you, our listener, if you are thinking about buying, or if you're thinking about selling, you also have to know, because if your buyer doesn't have a decent mortgage guy behind them, there's going to be issues. And we are, and Alfonso, again, you can back me up. I mean, we are encouraged on a regular basis to, let us come in here and help your clients, and, mortgage lenders and bankers, and people call us every day wanting to, come in and help our clients. And we believe that USA Mortgage, we've just never have issues. And the in-house underwriting makes a huge difference. The control that USA Mortgage has over the transaction is a direct benefit for our borrowers. And whether you're buying or selling, you need to know that, your lender is going to show up at closing and have to control the process all the way through that.
On-time closings are huge on either side.
It's really a key. So, Doug, as usual, we are running way out of time before we have way more information that we could share. So will you come back and share some more details about USA Mortgage with us in a couple of weeks?
Anytime you want. I'm honored to be here.